I thought I had lost the biggest opportunity in my life. I go back to my engineering colleges where it was my final year and I had one last shot at this amazing youth festival that you guys might have heard about. It was my last shot to represent my university, University of Mumbai, at the nationals. And I was doing everything fine. In my second year, I was the bronze medalist. In my third year, I was the gold medalist. But somehow, I never ended up doing the nationals. So this final year was my only chance to fulfill my dream. And what happened is funny. There's a fixed pattern to do this. Basically, there are around 30 colleges inside your zone, and there are 12 such zones. You need to first qualify with your college and come into the first 3 ranks. Then you qualify for the university finals. And once you are in the finals, you are going to compete against the winners. And after that, you need to compete against them and win against them. And maybe you get spotted. And maybe you get a shot at nationals. So that was the thing, which was my dream. And funny what I said, I did not even clear the first round. Just like that, my dream was over. I thought that was my only chance. And the doors kept closing, slowly, but it felt like they closed permanently. But here is what life does to you. Few days later, I got a call. It was the university. They said, "You've been specially recommended by the cultural coordinator, Mr. Save, back then, and please come for the auditions." I was so excited because I could skip the entire process. Maybe it was because of what I was doing in my past years. But anyways, I was very excited. I was so looking forward to this. But life had to happen, right? I was also leading my college, being the general secretary. We used to have these cultural festivals where I also looked after theater, fine art, dance, and other events. And exactly on the same dates of the auditions, I had to take care of my college festival. How unlucky. I said no, because commitment felt appropriate at that time. And there was this first day when they called me. I said, no, I cannot make it. They called me after that, on the second day, and the day after that. 3 days, 3 calls, and 3 no's. Not because I didn't want to do, because, like I told, the commitment felt more important than the opportunity. I let it pass. Once again, the doors were shut. Here's where it gets interesting. The next day, I was having lunch with my mom. I love to talk to her. And I was just telling her that I feel sorry. And I really want to call this person up and tell him that I was grateful for him going all the way to get me into this, and I just couldn't make it. She pushed me to call him. I called him that day, and I just said, "Sir, I'm really sorry. And I'm so grateful he gave me this opportunity, but I just couldn't make it." To this, he responded in an unexpected way. This guy tells me, "What are you doing right now?" I'm like, "Sir, I'm heading to my college." He asked me, "Can you come right now? The auditions are done, okay? Everything is done. The team is finalized." This guy tells me, "Can you come right now?" I did not calculate. I did not think about my schedule. I just said, yes. And I took that opportunity. I went into the venue. There was a team already ready. They were practicing. They knew each other. And I was here waiting for my second chance. There was a tradition, okay? As soon as we enter the auditorium, there were 2 sections. Always audience and the performers are divided by that. The people who were in the team used to always sit on the stage, and people who were the probables would sit in the audience. What I did was, I thought I was a probable maybe. I went and I sat into the auditorium. And just when the cultural coordinator looked at me, he was like, "Go up onto the stage." And that was my first time when I thought that I was already into the team. That gave me amazing confidence. I went there, my teammates taught me, I started learning, I started giving importance, started giving attention to the tiniest of the details, tiniest of the nuances. I started doing it, and the director, we used to have a music director, he walked up to me and he told me, Aditya, if you're able to do all your parts in 2 days, you are in. Otherwise, you're out. No mercy. No second option. Because the nationals were supposed to take place in just 2 days. I had those 2 days to put in everything I had. And of course I said yes, because this was a long living dream inside me. I said yes. My friends, my teammates started helping me with it, everything. We did it for 2 days. On the day of the finals, I know already what you're guessing, because it's a story, my smile says it. On the day of the finals, not just he included me into the team, but he also gave me all the important parts that were never mine. And once we stood on that stage of nationals, where I was representing my university for the very first time, and the results were announced, and we were the silver medalists. This is where you clap. But I know the rules. And then, this tells me that opportunities might not come to you in the way you expect. Almost all the time. But they would come in some inconveniences, in a form of some interruption, or a fascinating fact that opportunities might come to your door just to knock one last time. Not to check your intent, not to check your talent, but just to check whether you are willing to show up, willing to say yes. Now, here's what we don't talk about. When we get that opportunity and when we arrive in such a situation in life, what tells us that we are actually ready? Because I don't think those 2 days changed anything for me magically. But something that I was doing for the past few years, quietly, consistently, and maybe even I wasn't aware of it, which now I call the silent discipline. If you ask me if I was always this good, my answer is straight, no, I wasn't this good. Few of you might have seen my content online, and I met a few people. So happy to receive all the love that you gave me today. I wasn't this good, and I've walked my way through the struggles like everybody does. I'll tell you a few instances where, I remember being a child, and I did the smallest of the harkats, and it felt like I've climbed a mountain. To be very honest, I did something like, and this felt so incredible to me, and it made me live with it. And I went on to something else, something more complex, and now I can do much more. There's another instance where my Guruji, my current Guruji, was not willing to take me because of my inconsistency or whatever. And now, years later, I happen to be his favorite student. At least that's what I would like to believe. There was another instance when I was giving my lower grade exams, musical exams, and I went there underprepared, okay? And what had to happen? I was scolded very bad, right and left, by the examiner in front of my other teacher. I was so embarrassed. I came out of the room, and this is what I had to say. I told my teacher, ma'am, I'm going to give up, and I don't think classical is for me, and this is it, I'm done. She was very worried, and a few days later, something pulled me back. Something inside me didn't let it go, and I kept coming back. When I thought of these instances, there was one thing in common. You can call it persistence. You can call it my will to go back, keep going back to it, and wanting to do it, because it gave me so much peace. Again, a result of the silent discipline. I've been using this term, and you might wonder, what is this guy talking about? So silent discipline, when you hear it, you might think this is something secret that only the people who have been amazingly successful and the top tier people know of, isn't it? But in reality, it is something even more silent, something that even I wasn't aware of that I was doing. Silent discipline to me was something that I was doing something unknowingly, and it helped me continue choosing what I chose for myself, my art. And generally, being into this field, I feel you can't really decide when you have to deal with emotions. You can't feel. You can't decide what you need to feel. You just feel, right? And then I started realizing that while I chose this and I was doing it consistently, there was a few things that came in front of me, including me trying to be curious about little things, me trying to be patient around my art, me trying to go back to it, me trying to take the very next opportunity for myself and doing something out of it. And this was not because I was insecure or something. This was because it gave me peace. After this, I started relating it to something which I'm going to reveal soon. For that, for a moment, I want you guys to think about what love is. I'm sure everybody sitting here have loved someone, the other person, or some other other thing, right? I want you to think about that. What happens to you when you love somebody? You're willing to take efforts. You're willing to show up for them. You're willing to understand them. You're willing to put in a lot of efforts that you thought you wouldn't put otherwise, right? At least I go all in when I love something or someone. And while relating to this, I also found out that I was exactly dealing in the same way with my art. And this love that I had for my art, it made me patient, it made me curious, it made me wanting to go back to it again and again, trying to start again, trying to do all those things again. And if you look at the bigger picture and somebody asks you, what does it take for you to be consistent and to know if what you've chosen for yourself is correct? All these things, right? You have to be curious, you have to be patient, you have to let things come to you, you have to explore, and you have to enjoy the journey and not think about the results of it. My point here is, in art or anything that you want to do, you don't necessarily need to have a discipline, but you need to have that driving force, what I call love, to be able to do it. And things will start to happen silently for you, and you'll be able to find it too. So can we all, again, come to the point that whatever you choose for yourself, make sure you're in love with it, because the love that you have for it is going to help you make that consistent, make you do it all over again, make you do it consistently. And that is it. Love what you choose, or rather, choose what you love, and the silent discipline will follow. Thank you so much.